When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle.
Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish, the podcast that is an Aries because we started in April, and that means, according to astrology.com, we may have trouble being a patient, receptive team player, and I resent that given how much bottoming I'm into these days. I'm Mike Johnson, and we're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality. Today, I have co-host extraordinaire and friend Chris Haigy with me. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
It's going excellent. How about you?
Okay, thank you. So Chris, on top of helping us with Have a Nice Gay, doing our Wednesday game days, is also one of the team players over there at the We Read Movies podcast. Yeah, what are you guys talking about this week?
This week we're talking about the movie Some Far Where.
Okay.
Which is a gay spy military drama set in unnamed Middle Eastern country.
Oh my God, it sounds awful. Okay.
It is awful. There's like a spy who's a ghost. The whole thing is weird.
That's fantastic. Well, yeah, today, thank you again for being here. Really appreciate you pinch hitting for us. And today we are going to talk about armpits. But first, corrections and feedback. We do have a correction. We had somebody who wrote in and had some stuff to say about Friday the 13th. So we'll play that now. I don't know is it on Instagram, Dan? Is that where it was?
I'm hoping that what they had to say was that Jason in Space, was underrated. There's lesbian representation, although one of them is a cyborg. So, you know.
Oh, you mean Dawson's Creek: The Next Generation? Yeah, that movie's excellent.
Dan, can you try to play that?
Hello, Mike and Kyle. My name's Mike. I'm messaging you from London. I just listened to the most recent podcast about superstition. I just wanted to butt in and say where Friday the 13th came from. I'm a tour guide here in the UK, and Friday the 13th actually came from 1307 with the Knights Templar. On Friday the 13th of October 1307, Jacques de Molay was arrested by the French king, and they arrested all his friends all across France at the same night. And ever since then, there's been a sense of fear and superstition around that date. And also, it's developed where we view black cats as superstitious because he was charged by the King of France of having sex with a black cat. So again, you know, a lot of these superstitions come from the fall of the Knights Templar. Worth looking into, but yeah.
Wait, he was charged with having sex with a black cat?
I guess so. And now that's unlucky?
Unlucky for the cat. Jesus.
We don't know who was on top. Maybe the cat was having a good time. Maybe it was unlucky for him, really, because they've got barbs on their penises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That cat was like, oh, this is okay. This is easier than usual. Yeah. So first of all, having been a tour guide, I would make shit up all the time, or I would have people that pass down information to me to make part of the tour that was bullshit. So already sort of suspect. But Dan, you looked into it a little bit?
I did, yeah. I actually know who Jacques de Molay is. I was in a youth group called de Molay based on it. Like, I know the story.
Is he or is he not a cat fucker?
There were a lot of histories written by the winners.
Okay, I was just about to say that.
Yeah. There's a lot of sort of stories about all the things that the Knights Templar were doing, and what they were charged with, some of which they weren't, some of which, including homosexuality. That's a classic one that they would have to, like, part of their ritual was to, like, kiss each other on the penis.
Mike's like, how do I join?
Yeah. Well, there are rumors that the Masons who claimed that the Knights Templar were there. The Masons apparently at one point claimed that they were a offshoot of the Knights Templar. That's also of dubious historical accuracy. But Da Vinci Code, of course, dipped into the Knights Templar stuff. But in my digging, I found an article from nationalgeographic.com that claims that all of these stories attributing the concept of Friday the 13th being an unlucky day to the Knights Templar are kind of false. And that while it was true that Friday was already unlucky at that point, and the number 13 was already considered unlucky at that point, the idea that all the Knights Templar were rounded up on one day is not true. And this historian's research said that a book published in 1907 titled Friday the 13th was in fact the point at which the concept of Friday the 13th, the day being unlucky, came about.
That's the book about the stock market we talked about.
Okay. So I did pass that along to Mike, who called in. He said, like, one of his professors at university was a leading Templar scholar. He's the one that told him. So,
all right.
So believe what you want.
I will say that I've played all of the Broken Sword games, and they don't mention it in there, and that's pretty definitive.
That's solid. That's lock it down solid as far as I'm concerned. Well, thanks for writing in or sending in your correction. We appreciate that. I genuinely love feedback, especially when we don't do anything about it. Okay. And now the news.
Shut your mouth hole. It's time for your ear holes. News.
Okay, news the first. So I realized last week when I talked about Tom Daley and the way that he was treated by Russian media that I sort of glossed over Laurel Hubbard, who was also maligned by Russian news media and arguably is more important and groundbreaking than Tom Daley. And we should talk about her and her Olympic experience that she just had in Tokyo. So have you been following Laurel?
I have to say, because of the pandemic, I have not been following the Olympics at all. It feels like they're not even happening to me.
You and everybody else has stayed, like, apparently the Olympics had the worst ratings that they've ever had in the history of modern television. So
I don't know. It just seems so like there's so many things going on, and I'm like, sports.
That's true. They're weird sports, though, right?
I mean, there's dressage is still around for some reason, so yeah. Mm-hmm. But they used to have a weirder one. They used to have pistol dueling in the Olympics.
That's fantastic.
For 1 year. I assume because everyone died. I don't know what happened.
And there's diminishing returns to that event, I guess.
Yeah.
So Laurel Hubbard is a Olympic weightlifter from New Zealand, and she is particularly noteworthy because she is also trans, which is very much in the forefront of sports and gender and controversy. And I mean, I'd say the most vitriolic, horrible, awful comments, do not read them these days, are on articles about trans athletes. There will be no laughing about this. She got knocked out of the Olympics after being unable to snatch 120 kilos, which is a lift that you have to nail in order to move on to the clean and jerk portion of the competition. Anyway, she's now out of the Olympic Games, but despite failing to win a medal, she is the first openly trans woman to compete at the Olympics in any event, much less weightlifting. These Tokyo Games also saw Canadian footballer Quinn become the first out trans Olympian to take home a medal. And non-binary skateboarder Alana Smith made history as the first non-binary athlete to compete for Team USA. And I think I sort of feel bad. This is my apology to her for focusing on Tom Daley. When there's other things, more marginalized folks being represented, and I wanted to try to make up for that.
There is a lot of ground being broken. Also, Tom Daley is very cute. I understand why you would do both things.
Sometimes you get blinded by abs, and it happens. And
I see that you've seen my dating history.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we've had just a lot of trans people and non-binary people making it in ways that have never been done before, and it's really incredible and inspiring to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So she spoke to RNZ, which I think is a New Zealand thing, in December.
correct.
Yeah,
I believe it. I don't know.
I should have said it more confidently and just like let somebody correct me. But
Radio New Zealand. It's a public service radio broadcaster in New Zealand.
Awesome. So in December 2017, she was talking about the transphobia that she's faced, and she said, quote, "People believe what they believe, and when they're shown something which is maybe new and different to what they know, it's instinctive to be defensive. Look, I can't really speak for other people and what they feel and what they think and what they believe. And it's not really my job to change what they think, what they feel, or what they believe. But I just hope they look at the bigger picture rather than just trusting whatever their gut might have told them." Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks, Laurel, and congrats on making it to the Olympics. And hopefully, you will not the last trans athlete to make it to that level of weightlifting prowess or what have you.
Agreed. Now, do you know what the snatch is?
Yeah, I've definitely done some snatch in my day, and it's very difficult actually. Snatch is hard for me. I don't know. Is snatch hard for you?
It's not hard. No.
Excellent. News the second. So FIFA, the soccer, the World Soccer Organization,
the tragically corrupt World Soccer Organization, correct? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, is dealing with this problem now, where players for England are planning on wearing rainbows as a protest against Hungary's anti-LGBT plus laws. And there have been indications that maybe they would be sanctioned for doing so. So Hungary passed a bunch of laws that we've talked about on the show quite a bit, that happening, to different levels of severity across the world, but basically making it illegal to promote homosexuality to the children or whatever, and using that to shut down representation. And there is a World Cup qualifier that's taking place in Hungary, and yeah, so the FIFA has said that as long as it is done respectfully, that's in quotes, they will likely not be facing any sort of sanction, but all instances of players throwing on rainbow armbands, shoelaces, boots, or undershirts will be judged on a, quote, case-by-case basis. Is it just me, or... Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, no protest that's done respectfully gets attention or change. So, it's one of those things where, American conservatives complain about football players taking a knee during the pledge, or not the pledge, the national anthem. And the fact is, they say the same thing, well, if you did, something respectful, we would listen to you. But no, you wouldn't, because that's the whole idea, is we're protesting something that we don't agree with.
Yep, absolutely. And how much more respectful could you be than taking a knee? That's quiet. It's peaceful. Right. It hurts nobody. It gets the point across. That if you're not down with that, you're not going to be down with anything for protesting.
Exactly.
Anyway, it'll be interesting to see exactly how much rainbow shit the English players are going to show up in, and how much backlash there will be to that. And like you said, FIFA is a bunch of chicken shit assholes. So I don't trust them any further than I could throw them.
Not according to that movie that they paid to make.
Wait, what movie?
I don't remember what it was called, but FIFA basically paid to make this movie about FIFA and FIFA's history and how it saved Western civilization through soccer. And it came out, and I think it made $12 or something in movie theaters, because nobody cared or wanted to watch it. And it was just this vanity project for the FIFA president. I don't remember his name. the super corrupt one who was investigated for money laundering and whatnot.
Yeah, God, how that's so masturbatory. Which it's soccer, I get it, but like, oh well, I will not be checking that movie out. But thank you for bringing it up. And news the last. So, Joe Biden, who had made a election pledge to nominate more LGBT plus people to the bench at the various levels of the judiciary, has come through on that promise, at least in two examples in the last couple of weeks. So on the 5th of August, that was last Thursday as we're recording this, he announced his latest judiciary picks, and there are 2 lesbians with long records of fighting for human rights on that list. And the White House said these choices reflect Joe Biden's promise to, quote, ensure that the nation's courts reflect the diversity of the U.S. So Beth Robinson, who has been an associate judge on the Vermont Supreme Court since 2011 and has been nominated for a seat on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, and if confirmed would be the first openly LGBT plus woman to ever serve on any U.S. appeals court. And then the other, okay, I'm jumping forward. And then the other is Charlotte Sweeney, who is also openly LGBT. She's been appointed or nominated for a seat on the U.S. District Court for the District of Colorado, which would make her the first out queer woman to serve as a federal district court judge in any state west of the Mississippi River. So yeah, making forward progress and hopefully clearing out some of the seats on the bench that have been filled so aggressively by Republicans.
Yeah, that's great progress for us. And congrats to Beth Robinson and I forget the other one's name.
Charlotte Sweeney.
Charlotte Sweeney.
Yeah.
I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, well, so is Kyle. That's the news.
Wait, who's Kyle?
Right, yeah.
No, I don't. That was me being bad at names.
It's fantastic and an excellent segue because we need to thank our new patrons, and that's something that Kyle normally does, and I think people have an expectation that he's going to fuck up their names, and I don't know whether to apologize for not fucking them up or if I should try to fuck them up, but like not do as good of a job at that as Kyle. Anyway,
I have faith in you, Mark, to fuck up all the names that you can.
Thanks, man. So a big thank you to our new Patreon supporters, Matt Best, who is obviously the best. Matt, we should stop now. He is the best. Jared, just Jared, hopefully not from Subway fame. Kirk Betcher, Scott Flashheart, Katarina or Catherine Glom, Katarina Glom, Will Wanhalla, Matt Apollo, Jack Luby, Pete Costello, Quinn, who I'm hoping is maybe the athlete
player.
Football player from Canada. And Kenneth McDonald. Just so everybody knows, we are a little bit behind on getting these out, and we apologize for that. That covers everybody that had signed up until July 27th of 2021. And so if you have not heard your name yet, you just put your goddamn patience pants on and fucking wait. we're doing our best to catch up. You know, things have been messed up for a while here, but we're
global
getting there.
Pandemic? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about armpits?
Boy, do I want to talk about armpits.
Yeah, I could tell you're a man that has a look about you that says armpits, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. It's not so much a look as an embroidered hat. But, you know, sure.
I thought we'd start just with like a general, how do you feel about armpits?
I've got one.
Yes. Oh, okay. 2, I think.
There are rumors.
Yes, Dan.
Have you explained that this was the Gap Bridger vote? And
no. Thank God we have you. Thank God we're paying you to do shit. So, as you may or may not know, every month our Gap Bridgers get to vote on a topic. Fucking Dan and Kyle and I each submit our ideas for a rough theme, and then that gets voted on. This time, I said lips, and I lost, and that's the only thing that matters. I have yet to win a single time, and I am very happy about that. Please continue to not vote for me. It's the only source of joy and meaning that I have in my life right now. The other two, feet was Kyle's submission, and armpits was fucking Dan. And once again, apparently fucking Dan just has his fingers on the pulse of the listenership, or at least the ones that are giving us money.
I think okay, here's the thing. I think that you need to sexy up your choices, Mike. I think instead of saying lips, go with like sugar lips.
Okay.
Yeah. You just you gotta sell it. Like how on a menu it always says like house-made bread. They don't just say bread. They put some adjectives in there to really sexy it up.
Rustic, crusty.
Yep. Rustic, crusty lips.
Yeah, great. I am actively trying to lose. So rustic, crusty lips, I think, is excellent advice. Yeah. So that's how we arrived at armpits. And I know that there are quite a few people who are very vocal about feet who are super disappointed. We'll get to it eventually.
We had an episode about socks like 2 months ago. It's basically feet.
Those are, adjacent.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about armpits?
Okay. So again, I've got them.
Yes.
I think they're fine. I think they serve their purpose of existing, of connecting your arm to your torso. I am not sexually attracted to them in any way, but also I'm kind of the opinion, like, I don't know, it's a really unoffensive thing for me. So like I've had guys be like, let me, smell your armpits or lick your armpits. And I'm like, all right, go for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm chill with that.
Yeah.
If it makes you happy.
I have a similar thing with feet, right? Like, it not really my thing, but it's nice to make other people happy. So if you want to go to town on my feet, go to town on my feet. One thing about my armpits though is, I have a bunch of personal hangups about mine, which we'll talk in a segment later on in the show about the genesis of all of those issues that I have. But, then also licking armpits is something that you just said. And I will always be wearing deodorant, and I worry about their tongue. Like, is eating deodorant bad for you? I think it sounds bad for you.
It's not good for you. I don't think it's bad for you. If you get a little bit of deodorant on your tongue, I think you're probably fine. Please, nobody take this as medical advice, and nobody eat like a stick of deodorant. That would be... Don't do that. But I think it's probably fine. It'll make your tongue feel bad. I know that I've gotten deodorant in my mouth before, and it makes your tongue kind of numb and like dry. Yeah. I'm also very ticklish, so licking armpits is not.
Yeah.
It's okay if it's done with like a flat tongue in slow, kind of deliberate motions, but if you're like flicking up and down, I would start laughing, and I don't like that.
Okay, so like a cat, not like a lizard, is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
God, why does cat fucking keep coming up in this episode? I don't know.
Are you secretly a member of the Knights Templar, Mike?
Right. I can't tell you. Then I'd have to kill you.
Of the Mike's Templar?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
I like
you
that.
can have that one. That one's yours.
Thank you. I'm getting t-shirts made. Okay. Well, it's interesting because armpits are one of those things, and we're going to talk about fetishization of it also in a segment here in a little bit, but it's one of those things that I'm not icked out by. I'm not opposed to. And so, like we said, I'm okay with it. If that's their thing, I just kind of have this neutral, I don't know, feeling about the whole thing.
I will say one thing, which is that, like any fetish, it's partly a sexual act. And I think that with some fetishes, like armpits, sometimes feet too, some people are like, yeah, I'll just do this in like a very public place. Like I'll just smell somebody's armpits. And that to me is always a little bit dicey because then you're basically doing public sex things. And if you're in a space for that, if you're in a leather bar or if you're in, a sex club or whatever, sniff away, lick away, whatever, do your thing.
Fetish night at CC's, that's a thing that happens there a lot. I've seen a lot of that.
I wouldn't know anything about fetish night at CC's. I've never even heard of such a thing.
We've seen each other there, I think.
I don't know what you're talking about. And I don't know what harness I would have been wearing that night even.
It was dashing, I promise.
Yeah, I just, I think that a time and a place basically is what I would kind of caution.
Yeah. I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Yeah. So leading into our first thing, the per usual, I'm going to talk about history stuff and the history of armpits. Humans have always had them. End of segment.
I don't know. Are you sure? I heard they were invented in a lab a couple of years ago, actually.
Yeah, how can we know? There's no way to confirm or deny. So when you start looking into the history of armpits, it inevitably moves into this space about axillary hair and armpit hair and what we as humans have done or not done with that.
Axillary is Greek for armpit.
Oh.
Yeah. Or Latin for it? I don't remember. It's something for it. I was just letting the audience know. You know that it means armpit. I was just telling people.
Yeah, sure. Like you use the password is axillary. So talking about armpit hair and specifically armpit hair removal, there is evidence that suggests that we have been removing underarm hair for before history. There is evidence that Paleolithic times we were removing body hair and armpit hair. Now it's interesting how we did that before razors. So around,
I think we had a dinosaur, right? Who would clip it for you and then look at the camera and go, "It's a living."
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. The well-known documentary, The Flintstones. So apparently before razors, hair was sometimes removed using two shells to pull the hair out, like making tweezers out of oyster shells and then plucking each hair out. You're making the correct face. The face that you're making is the correct face.
That sounds horrifying. Especially, look at this. That would take days.
I mean, is it a maintenance thing though? Like, do you just got to the first time takes days, and then you just got to keep on top of it? I don't know.
Maybe they say it grows back thicker.
Well, okay, that is a common myth, and it is super duper wrong. Yeah, actually, I was told that as a kid, and I believed it. There's a couple of theories about why that is. One of which is just when you're young and going through puberty, if you shave everything off, it's going to come back thicker because it was going to get thicker anyway.
Right. Well, also, it does. So if you shave it, it does come back arguably thicker because it no longer ends in like a point the way that hair does when it starts to grow back. It's the same thickness at the end as it is at the root.
And everything's the same length instead of being like things fall out at different times and then you end up with multiple lengths in there.
Also, it's not textured anymore.
You need an armpit hair fade.
Yeah.
Pulling it out with shells sounds awful. And once again, I am very happy to live in the future.
And that poor oyster.
Yeah, you thought that dinosaur's life was awful. So razors, apparently copper razors were first, and they were invented about 3000 BC, which that seems unbelievable to me. I think of it as being like, I don't know, something that came out of the 50s.
Telling women that their bodies are wrong has been going strong for a long time.
Absolutely. And thanks, Victorians. Basically, it's always the fucking Victorians. So Alexander the Great strongly promoted shaving during his reign in the 4th century BC. He believed it looked tidier.
The man loved a twink.
Yeah, boy, boy howdy, like a lot, like lost his shit when he died. Anyway, so the Egyptians, I guess, also had a rather fastidious remove everything, including the hair on your head, which that was just about utility because lice and other parasites. They just were tired of this shit. Shave it all off, which I have friends that happened to recently because they got crabs. I just decided to go fucking full dolphin mode for a while until they got rid of them all.
We've all been there.
Yeah. Apparently, per usual with history, it's very like Western centric and very white people centric. There were quite a few Native American tribes, and in which it was customary for men and women to remove all body hair as well. And I think that's super interesting because we're worried about like what the white people were doing, and that's unfortunate. But that's one thing, at least during the time of contact with British colonists, they were still doing that. So fast forwarding a little bit.
Me, 18 years old.
You, 18
in
years
college.
old. Yeah.
We're fast forwarding.
Oh, okay.
To shaving. Yeah. I was making a joke. Never mind.
Well, okay. So we didn't talk about this before. Have you ever shaved your armpits?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. From like age 16 to like 23, I was a totally hairless boy.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I don't know. I was a twink. And I mean, you can see me. I'm covered in hair now. So like, it took me a while.
Yeah.
Basically every day.
Now this is what we're talking about. Okay. So it was primarily an aesthetic choice then.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have crabs all the time.
Right. And then what was you said it took a long time. What's a long time?
I got it down to about 40 minutes. But like that, because that was my whole body.
Yeah.
I mean, except my head. But yeah, my legs, everything. I did no hair.
Okay. Did you get positive reinforcement for that? Like positive reactions?
I did. I mean, it's also self-selecting, right? Because like I was on dating sites and stuff, so they could see me without a shirt before, and we would exchange nudes as you do on any dating site. And yeah, so they, people who weren't into it just didn't do it. They were like, I don't want to have sex with you. You don't have a body hair. And I'd be like, all right, whatever. That guy does.
Yeah. Plenty of fish in the sea.
Yeah.
That have hair.
Right.
So what changed? Like, when did you stop doing that?
It happened in phases. So, for a while I would shave I would shave my whole body, and then I stopped shaving my legs and my armpits, and then I stopped shaving my chest then I stopped shaving pubes after that,
mm-hmm.
And then I stopped shaving chest after that.
Okay.
And it was, largely, I mean, it was also partly a change in what people found aesthetically, like what was popular in gay society. Twinks are kind of out now.
Yeah, hairless twinks is like a 90s thing, right?
Right.
90s. Yeah. And that's definitely, at least in Seattle, that's not what we do here.
I don't think it's anywhere. According to gay Twitter, hair is in, baby.
Yeah.
Except for that one guy 2 months ago who said hairy chests are ick. And then everybody started posting pics of their hairy chests.
Thanks, that one guy. Was he just...
Yeah. What about you? Did you shave your pits?
No, like once, maybe twice in my whole life. The first of which I remember pretty distinctly was like either the first night or second night that I was in the dorms. It was like I was I graduated at 17, so I started college when I was 17, and there was just something about like the newfound freedom. I'm an adult. I can do what I want. Like energy that led me to shave my armpits, which I don't know. I still don't know why I did that. Why did I do that?
Take that, mom and dad. No more hair.
Who aren't here and aren't paying attention and give zero fucks. And then it was And then it was just itchy as hell after that. And like, I'm good. And then I did shave my chest a time or two. There's barely anything there, and for a while I went through this like feeling self-conscious about that. Like if there's just a tiny bit, then get rid of that, and instead of riding the fence between having hair and not. And then I gave up on that just because I'm lazy.
Did you never consider a chest merkin? Go the opposite way, just really hair out.
Go like full Burt Reynolds? No.
Yeah.
No. So let's see. Okay, so talking about removing everything, including your armpit hair, competitive swimmers have like shave parties, and I was very intrigued by this idea as a kid.
I wonder why.
And I guess I'm still intrigued. I guess I might be still intrigued now. But the whole thing about that is it's supposed to make them streamlined, like you're making yourself into a dolphin or something. But as near as I can tell, it doesn't actually work, or the change is negligible. So there's this whole culture of this thing happening that, like, why are you doing that? It's just to be gay, right?
I mean, I don't know. Michael Phelps did the cupping thing, which also doesn't do anything. Sometimes athletes just do stuff because why not, right? Like, maybe it doesn't do anything, but maybe it does. Yeah. I won't jerk off during the playoffs because I save all that sexual energy for the field or whatever nonsense that they do.
I've got to say also, as a spectator, not jerking off is not going to help your hockey team.
What? I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
The last two things, and then we'll move on. I think it's worth noting also that there are a lot of sects of Islam in which removing underarm hair is encouraged or even required to meet religious guidelines for cleanliness. And it's not something that I really associated with religion at all, at least not a religion so big and prominent. And I don't know how widespread that practice is either.
That's probably one of those things, right? Like eating shrimp or something, where it started probably as a like health thing because, you know, in ancient Israel, you like the shrimp that you would get, you didn't have a good way of keeping them on ice or whatever. So it would make people sick, and people were like, well, we need to have a rule for people to say, hey, don't do this. It could be that, you know, it's the same thing of getting rid of parasites and lice and stuff. They just decided that it was a public health mandate that people are now seemingly so fucking averse to.
Yep. My body, my choice, Chris. You can't make me.
Oh boy.
Fucking people. And then the last, predictably, you know, removal of armpit hair for cosmetic reasons. It was about 1915, give or take, that there were a series of advertisements that ran in Harper's Bazaar, and they were showing this dress that was revealing to the arm and armpit area rather salaciously, and the advertisements indicated that you needed to get rid of unsightly hair in order to pull this look off, and that is widely credited with the introduction of underarm hair removal for women becoming a requirement for acceptableness. And I think it's interesting too that, like a lot of gay stuff, once you firmly associate something with women, then it almost inevitably downstream gets attached to gay dudes as well. And we sort of touched on it. The hairless twink phenomenon could be a byproduct of hairlessness being feminine, and part of gay culture by virtue of that.
Yeah, I mean, and young. I hate to bring that up, but like, you know, that was in the days when I was a staunch bottom, that I would shave all my body hair. So it was that like power dynamic thing, I think, was also part of it.
Yeah.
And also like bodybuilders do it. So it's another thing where there's a confluence, I think, of reasons why it was and still for some people is a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And bodybuilders, there's some pragmatism there, right? Like
yeah, you want to see all the body or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Don't cover that shit up. You need to you need to see it. So, you were going to talk to us about what armpits do. What armpit hair does.
I was going to talk to you about what armpits are said to do.
Okay,
so take all of this with a grain of salt. But I was going to talk a little bit about pheromones.
Okay.
Went home fourth on Drag Race season, whatever. I don't remember. No, not pheromones. So pheromones, from the Greek, meaning things that impel you. Pheromones are chemicals that a creature can secrete that act like a hormone in other creatures who are exposed to it. So they're chemicals that change the way another creature behaves. So you may have seen, for example, like ants walking to a picnic in a straight line. They do that because of pheromones. There's a pheromone trail. They follow it without even potentially realizing what they're doing. So humans have pheromones. There are 3 that the armpit releases, the axillary steroids, they're called, that have been identified. There's andrastenone, andrastenol, and andrastadianone.
Those all sound related.
They sure do. They're all produced by testes, ovaries, apocrine glands, adrenal glands, and they are dormant until puberty for the most part, and then they go absolutely fucking buck wild, which is why all of our teenage bedrooms smelled the way they did. And so there have been a bunch of studies on pheromones in humans, and a lot of them have revolved around these armpit pheromones, because those are the ones that are like the sex pheromones.
Sure.
So a 2004 study asked women to rate the attractiveness of men with a variety of facial structures and also the pleasantness of a variety of odors. And it found that there was a correlation, at least, for women who enjoy the smell of andrastadianone and women who find more quote-unquote masculine facial structures attractive.
Okay.
They also did a study in 2008 where women were given andrastadianone to smell while they were at a speed dating event.
Oh.
And the women who were given it generally said that the men were slightly more attractive than the women who weren't.
Okay. That doesn't sound definitive.
Well, okay. So that's the thing about all of these studies, is that the sample sizes are always really low. And part of that is because a lot of the time, so you'll see that like one guy will have like 20 different studies, and it's because he got like 1,000 people in to just smell armpits, and then
fucking Dan is Googling for like a sign-up sheet for that, I think.
And then, you know, he would take a bunch of data on them and then say like, oh, okay, so this one is now a study on gay men, but it didn't start as a study on gay men. It was just that they had like 30 gay men in the 1,000. Okay. And so they would kind of make conclusions based on that.
Yeah. And
so, like, there have been other ones.
This sounds as scientific as like BuzzFeed to me. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I am also a Don Draper in the.
Yep.
Yeah. They also did do studies that found that apparently there is a loose correlation that said that gay men, they had them smell andrastadianone and put them in a PET scan machine at the same time, and they found that gay men's brains reacted similar to women to that smell.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Okay.
So it's another one of those kind of studies.
Yeah.
And they also did a study in 2005 in the Journal of Psychological Sciences that found that gay men tended to be more attracted to the andrastadianone of other gay men to the exclusion of straight men.
Oh, wow.
So that's fun.
So wait, so there's different kinds of that, like the gay version and the straight version are different?
I guess so. It's very difficult to say, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's even difficult to say whether it was the androstenedione or if straight men just have stinkier pits that, like, maybe the gay guys were like, oh, that one's too much for me. Or the opposite, maybe. We just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is, I mean, huge if true. Gaydar for your nose.
Yeah.
And okay, so because of this, there have been a bunch of pheromone colognes that have come out.
Sure.
To try and get men like a leg up on dating. Take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because one of the preeminent armpit studiers, Charles Wysocki, who works at the Monell Chemical Senses Center, he said basically, you know what, don't waste your money on pheromone colognes because it's not a magic bullet. Because people don't act the way that animals do for a number of reasons. We have more complex brains.
Yeah.
Animals and humans both have this thing called the vomeronasal organ, which is responsible for picking up on pheromones and kind of acting on them. But in people, scientists don't think it actually works.
Oh,
so it's just a vestigial organ for us.
Yeah.
It might work a little bit.
I wonder if it works for people that can't smell. Like Taffy Carlisle Huffington, who's on one of the Pride 48 shows. Pod is my co-pilot, and she was at our Poppers taping in New Orleans and was wondering if Poppers would work on her because she has no sense of smell. She has.
I would imagine that it would, because it goes into your lungs and then it goes into your bloodstream from there, right?
That was my guess as well.
I think is my Poppers science.
But then renowned Poppers expert.
Malcolm Gladwell said 10,000 hours of something and you're an expert, so
great.
Very possibly.
But I wonder in the case of pheromones if the scent is actually important, if it's an olfactory response or if there's something else going on.
Well, okay, so the vomeronasal organ is separate from your sense of smell.
Oh, okay.
So if it's the VNO that is causing this effect in people, then theoretically it would still work even if you didn't have a sense of smell. If it is not, if there's, if it's more complicated than that, and if there are other organs that also contribute to pheromone receptivity, then theoretically it wouldn't work.
Okay.
Or it would. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, like you said, there's a complexity issue at play, right? Like we are not ants, and
right.
You look at the lower animals and how they respond to pheromones, and it's like immediate, like, oh, now this fruit fly is gay because of this one pheromone that it was exposed to, and it's just not that simple for us. It's not quite as binary if there's anything to it at all. So
right. For me, for example, you had to watch Velvet Goldmine before you were gay.
Excellent. There's a study. We should we should put that together. See,
it did a lot for me.
Okay. Yeah. So let's see. The baldingbeards.com, which is totally a site, has a list of 5 reasons men should shave their armpits and 5 why they shouldn't. So I'm not sure what the point of the article is.
I assume that this is going to be very non-toxic at all.
Non-toxic at all. So they say that men manscape. In a 2014 study, they said that 57% of millennials men did some manscaping now and then. Some studies show
why
that
we
that
can't afford iPhones,
right?
Too
Avocado
busy
toast and
manscaping.
The other studies show that the percentage is even higher. I assume that Gen Z is just like, I don't know, shaving each other. I don't know. Anyway, but so the reasons that men manscape include appearance, athletics, better hygiene, and comfort. And so yeah, they're reasons why men should shave their armpits is sweat, which you were just touching on a little bit. And the idea is that shaving makes you sweat less.
I don't think that's true.
Well, and one of the theories as to why is that the hair is out of the way, so your antiperspirant works better. It doesn't have to go through all of the hair to do its job and plug up your sweat glands.
I guess I believe that. If you are using antiperspirant, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but I'm saying not everybody does.
Yeah, I have a friend that uses crystals.
Oh, sure.
Some shit. I don't think that's. I don't know why that would work, but okay. It's pray the sweat away.
It's not a crystal. It's like a salt crystal. So okay. I subscribed to one of those subscription boxes, okay. And they send me like gay shit. Oh, there's one.
Oh, fucking Dan has one. Well, great.
Yeah, I think that's the exact one that I have. So I subscribe to a gay box that sends me gay shit, and it's like got underwear and like men's grooming products. And sometimes they send me, fun like lotions and whatever, but sometimes they send me buck wild stuff like one of those crystals. I have used it. It kind of works.
Okay. What's the mechanism of action supposed to be? Because it still seems like
I feel like
using a Ouija
Dan
board
can answer this better than me.
So the specific deodorant stick that goes by the brand name Crystal is just potassium alum. It's a mineral salt, and so similar to antiperspirants that use aluminum based things. Yeah, it's just a salt that's meant to sort of kill the bacteria that cause the odor.
Because your sweat is odorless. When it comes out of your body, it basically doesn't have a smell, except for the androstadienone pheromone things and a little bit of urea. But when it combines with the bacteria that live on your skin, that's when you get BO.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think of it like chewing on bark instead of taking aspirin. Like, it's the same basic chemicals are there. It's just a more natural version of it.
Okay.
If I'm kind of getting that right.
That would have been a really good experiment to try during the pandemic when I didn't have to see people. Like, just try the crystal thing and see if it worked for me.
Well, that's the thing, right? You can't smell yourself. So you...
Sometimes I can. Pretty rarely, though. I think for the most part, like, my personal body odor is fairly subdued. It's just
you
like,
think that?
Well, I don't know. Okay, somebody can weigh in. What level of Patreon is that? Come smell my Johnson. Okay, number
we'll
two.
Do a study.
Yeah. Number two, shaving fights odor, which is I think similarly dubious claim, but
see above if you're wearing deodorant.
Yeah, some of it is that the bacteria that then is stinky when it mixes with your sweat, a lot of it lives on the hair, so less hair is less surface area, is less bacteria, is less odor overall if you shave. And also armpit hair traps moisture, and bacteria love that shit. So there's maybe something to that. Number three is athletics. I don't know, this is in their reasons to shave, and then they talk about the fact that swimmers have removed body hair and it doesn't work. So why is this in?
I think it reduces a lot of drag if you run with your arms straight up in the air like this.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a visual gag for only us.
I have it on good authority that shaving increases drag queens. So, yeah. So there was a NASA study. Why are they studying this? I don't know. That showed that shaving body hair reduced drag at a barely perceptible rate. And a study by the American College of Sports Medicine showed that shaven swimmers experienced an increase in stroke length as well as cardiovascular benefits. Which, why does shaving make your lungs happy? I don't understand.
When my stroke length improves, my heart rate goes up a lot too.
Exactly, me too. Number 4 is comfort, which there is. It says, "quote longer armpit hair can easily become tangled, snagged, and pulled."
What? No.
It's not unlike pubic hair becoming snagged in your zipper.
What?
It's
It's
a level of discomfort any man would love to avoid. They're just making shit up now. Like, I've never.
How absolutely insanely unruly is their body hair?
Yeah.
So they got like Rasta dreadlocks in their pits. I've never seen anyone with tangled armpit hair.
Yeah, right. Yes, right. You are correct. I'm with you on this. Explain yourself, baldingbeards.com. And then number 5 is appearance, and they specifically call out things like bodybuilders,
Twinks,
Bellamy
models. Yep, we can. The list goes on and on.
Yep, exactly. Then talking about whether women find men who shave their pits more attractive, and the studies on that are not definitive. So why is this in here? And then reasons not to include, skin irritation, that sucks, and other skin issues like folliculitis, in which a hair follicle becomes inflamed or infected. That sucks.
I used to get that all the time. I would have that's one of the reasons I stopped shaving my pits initially was I would get like a pimple, like an ingrown hair in my armpit, and it really hurt. And after my third one, I think, I was like, I'm done with this forever.
Fuck this noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3 is you will release more pheromones if you don't shave. So, see above.
Is supposedly true.
Okay.
Alex Comfort, the author of The Joy of Sex. I was going to say The Joy of Gay Sex. That was Edmund White. Alex Comfort, the author of The Joy of Sex, said that armpit hair releases pheromones. I don't have the quote, but it was something about women shaving their armpits being a travesty.
Okay. All right.
Again, we also, pheromones may or may not actually exist, so whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, they exist. They may or may not do anything.
May or may not make you horny.
Right.
Really, that's yeah. Okay. Yeah. Number 4, shaving may not reduce sweat, so they put not sweating on both sides of the list there.
Okay.
And number 5, shaved armpits aren't that attractive to everyone. And research shows that some women prefer men who manscape, and there are plenty of others who like a hairier man. I am assuming that is the same for the gays, at least in my personal anecdotal overview.
Is it 2 or 3 of their reasons are also anti-reasons?
Yes. Exactly.
Okay,
this is the best article that's ever been written in the history of articles.
Cool. Audience, saved you a click.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that's shaved armpits aren't that attractive to everyone. But yeah, let's talk about that. Attractive, are armpits attractive or not? You said you have some I don't know.
So I think that armpits themselves, I could take them or leave them. I do like the shape that a person makes when they expose their armpit, that the way that the back muscle kind of flares out a little bit.
Your latissimus dorsi.
Yeah.
Let's make it as unsexy as possible by saying
latissimus dorsi sounds like a sexy Pokemon. I can get behind that.
Fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that kind of pose. I like the way that a man looks when he is exposing his armpit. The armpit itself, I'm like, meh, it's there. Just like their brain, it doesn't do anything for me. I'm kidding.
It does seem like a lot of the fetishization of armpits is actually about the smell. It's the raunch aspect of it, as opposed to the aesthetics of the appearance of the armpit.
Yeah, although there are people who there have been at least people over the course of history who have said that they have been attracted to like the kind of shape of it. And I think that's kind of a partialism, where you, according to Freud, who, believe him or don't, basically you're kind of moving the vagina. So if you're interested in vaginas, a hairy armpit seems like another sexually erogenous zone, because that's, it's basically pubes on your body somewhere. You've got this huge patch of hair, if you're in a naturally unshaved state, that resembles a pubis.
Wow. That's fucking interesting.
That was Sigmund Freud's thought about it, which, again, he's been wrong about a lot of stuff, and he's dead now, so whatever.
Yeah. And hey, if you're out there listening and you like to bang somebody in the armpit, I would like to talk to you.
That's called axillism. And Alex Comfort said, wait, I have a quote about armpit fucking. He said, "Not an outstandingly rewarding trick, but worth trying if you like the idea." Which I think are just words to live by.
Yeah,
about everything, really. Yeah.
That's great.
Speaking of armpit fetishes.
Yeah.
Or masculinia.
Oh.
I could be mispronouncing that, but that's how it's spelled.
Okay.
That's armpit fetishes. I wanted to talk. So on We Read Movies, we talk about movies, bad gay ones specifically, but there are no bad gay movies really that exist about this. So I wanted to tell you about a little movie that fucking Dan told me about. The 1977 David Cronenberg movie, Rabid. Are you familiar with this movie?
I am not. I'm barely familiar with David Cronenberg, but that gives me a little bit of insight into where we're headed right now.
We're going in the body horror direction.
Okay,
you know
great.
it. Yeah, so David Cronenberg, he did a lot of he passed away, didn't he? His son's making movies. His son made Possessor.
David Cronenberg's still alive.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Is he retired?
Looks like he hasn't really directed anything since like 2014.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So anyway, I'm going to just real quick just talk to you about this movie. So this woman, her name is Rose. She gets into a motorcycle accident, and in order to save her life, the plastic surgery retreat that they take her to instead of a hospital, because, socialized medicine. I'm kidding. She was just closer to the plastic surgery retreat. Anyway, they do a morphogenetically neutral graft of her skin in order to save her. They do some science words when they do that, and then they're just like, and then she'll be better.
Yeah, just say stat at the end and it's fine.
Yeah. So they take some skin from her leg and they put it on her armpit, and then science happens. She falls into a coma. When she wakes up, she has it does save her, but she has a weird vagina in her armpit.
Okay.
And just like all vaginas, according to certain gay men who mask misogyny with humor, this one has teeth.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Armpit vagina dentata. I'm really okay. Great.
Yeah. And then she goes around using it to bite people. And,
oh God.
Oh yeah, because she's like, I'm so hungry. I need blood now.
My armpit's hungry.
Yeah, I need to drink people's blood through this armpit vagina. And usually when that happens, she'll be like, it's really funny because she'll hug them around the shoulder, and then they'll just start going, no, you got me. And so she's like an armpit vampire, but she doesn't make other armpit vampires because when she bites them, she basically turns them into armpit Renfields. So the people that she bites, she gives them this super intense form of rabies, and they start wandering around with pus coming out of their eyes. Okay. And then they start attacking people. And at some point, everyone in Montreal, because it takes place in Canada, sure. Everyone in Montreal is afraid of this zombie rabies plague. And here's the part in the movie where I said, all right, armpit vagina with teeth, I can get behind that. I'm willing to suspend my disbelief for that. But what happens is they develop a vaccine and then everybody takes it and they're fine.
Are they force vaccinating those armpit zombies? Because that's probably not okay. You're violating their bodily autonomy.
And then Rose also, she has an end of the story. I won't spoil it. But this was the part where I was like, well, that's not believable. You don't have any fucking crazy conservatives going, no, my body, my choice. You say that all the time. And why shouldn't I say it, even though the circumstances are entirely different and I'm putting millions of people at risk and we're never going to get out of this plague?
Yeah.
Sorry, we were talking about armpits.
That armpit zombie vaccine isn't actually approved by the FDA. It was an emergency use only, and I don't trust it until it's actually
rewrites your DNA.
God damn it.
It's going to give us all better cell phone reception. God, get it out of there. So anyway, Rose is an armpit vampire with a vagina in her armpit. And I mean, it's kind of hard not to see that, at least, as an armpit fetish thing. This is like basically a literal transposing of the vagina onto this fetishized part of the body. And it gets teeth too. But the point is, there's a vagina there. The movie's available on Canopy, which you can, if you're in the US, you can watch it with just a library card for free. So I recommend you check it out. It's like an hour and a half. It's fun the whole way through.
Oh my god,
it's good campy horror. I don't know, check it out. But I wanted to segue a little bit into then armpit fetishes.
Sure, let's do it.
So, in 2017, Cosmo interviewed some armpit fetishists, one of whom had this to say. It's tricky to explain what I really enjoy about them in general, but aside from them being a turn-on, I think some of the fun is they have a little bit of a taboo for them, but without being too gross as far as body parts go. And I think that's kind of... because a lot of the armpit fetish stuff does, as you say, revolve around smelling them.
Yeah.
And tasting them sometimes too. Some people enjoy tickling them. If you watched that Tickled documentary. Oh my God. See
that. What is that?
Oh, Mike, you got to watch this movie. Okay. I don't want to turn this into Chris's movie hour, but like there's this documentary called Tickled, and it is this journalist from New Zealand is looking into the, I have no notes about this, so I'm doing this all off my head, but he's looking into this thing called the National Tickle League or something, which is ostensibly a sport where people are like held down and tickled and they like see how long they can last or whatever. But it's very clearly just a fetish video for people. And he starts looking into it and he starts getting these like threatening emails from the people, from the lady supposedly who runs it. And then he starts looking into it and he finds out that it's actually owned by this like super rich guy who has been like using this to destroy people's lives.
Oh my God.
And there's blackmail involved. It gets nuts. And there's all sorts of like grooming behavior, and it's like a tickle sex cult. And
oh my God.
It's one of the most buck wild movies you've ever seen. You should watch it. Watch it, frankly, before Rabid, but then do watch Rabid also.
Okay. What platform is it on?
I have no idea. I think it was on HBO at some point.
Okay. All right. That's intense.
Yeah.
Also, I hate being tickled, so I don't know. I'll make it
I had a friend who made porn, and like he would film it and then like shop it around to like studios, and sometimes he would take commissions. And he said that tickle videos were the ones that almost everybody signed up for because they were like, I can be tickled, I'm fine with that. And then I don't have to actually have sex with somebody. And he was like, and every single time I hate filming them because it's like guys throw up.
Oh,
it's
oh my God.
it's really miserable for everybody involved. So that's a fetish I'm not into, certainly.
Well, armpit fetishes. I know that fucking Dan during the Patreon segment is going to talk about a event in San Francisco and called Stank, which the name is not encouraging me, but we're going to talk about...
Look, you know what you're getting into. No one can arrive at an event called Stank and go, it was a little stinky in there. I don't know if I liked it.
Yeah. Oh man! Wait, we got off on the documentary thing.
So I was talking about. I was talking, in large part about the man scent.
Yeah.
And people, there's a big fetish in gay men, especially in the leather scene, of guys who are just into man scent and not wearing deodorant. So yeah, I don't know. I was going to ask you, what do you think about man scent?
There is definitely a limit.
Yep. Okay.
Like my preference, not preference. That's the wrong way to put it. Like, if I don't notice a person's smell at all, that's great. I don't notice it and we chat and it's a lovely time. If I notice it a little bit, I can maybe almost a little bit be into that, but then there are very few people that ride the very thin line before I'm like, you need to take a shower. Like, I'm not into this. And there are definitely places like in Seattle, there are bars in which I would expect more of that kind of thing than others. And you're right. It's this sort of leather side of things. And, I'm reminded of in New Orleans, there's Pride 48 always had the first night that we would go on a tour of the gay bars of New Orleans, and there was one called the Rawhide that we were highly encouraged at the very least not to wear cologne. And
that's a common code of conduct at leather bars, whether it's enforced or not.
Yeah, and a whiff, a hint. I'm okay, maybe a tiny bit into it, but not really. But then there's definitely diminishing returns for my personal proclivities. How about you?
So I have a couple of opinions. One of which is that I feel like there can be an element of toxic masculinity to the man scent. Where I've definitely hooked up with some guys who've been like, I don't wear deodorant. If you're like healthy and clean, you don't need deodorant. I just smell like a man. And I've been like, but you do stink. I have also been with guys who don't wear deodorant and, they've been largely fine. So I think it's person to person. What I've seen has thrown around those words like healthy and clean, which are also kind of dog whistles
super problematic,
that get used for STIs, for example, as well.
Yeah.
And there's just a small element of like, I am one of the chosen people. I can go without deodorant and my pits don't stink.
Yeah.
Other people who are stinky, they've got something wrong with them, which I view as a little bit problematic.
Yeah. It's also interesting to me. One thing I'm not quite sure how to navigate, and I okay, awkward. That's gayish. That's how we roll. One thing about a smell, a person's scent, is it is pervasive and unavoidable and fills a space.
Yep.
And so there's a weird, like, kind of consent problem there of like, I did not sign up to smell you. And yet your presence is doing that to me. What are my, I mean, I can leave. I get that. But there's also like, if smell and smell play is part of your sexuality and I have no option but to be affronted with it, then there seems to be, I am not consented to that. You know what I mean?
And I feel the same way about people who wear, too much cologne or Axe body spray in general, just at all.
100%.
Where, some of it is okay if I have to get up close to you in order to smell it. If I choose to put my face in your pit and I get a whiff of your man scent, that's a different thing than if you walk by and I get it. For me personally. But it's also, it's all about context. Like, I don't like the smell of cigar smoke, for example. There's a place at the Eagle here in Seattle where they have the back porch area that's constantly people are smoking cigars back there.
And blowjobs. I've seen a lot of blowjobs back there. But go.
I like the blowjobs. I don't like the cigar smoke. But I have a story about that place. Anyway, I don't go into that back area of the Eagle because I know that I'm not going to enjoy the smells back there. If you're at sort of a raunch event, I don't know, fucking go wild with your smells. I'm not your mom. Yeah, it's like I say, I think it's about time and place.
Yeah.
Don't be stinky at the office, please.
Right.
When and if we ever get back to having offices.
And don't microwave fish or broccoli, Karen.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, no, that's all I got about it for the most part. You can fuck an armpit if you choose to. I don't know. I've never done it.
Real fast, I'm going to run through a couple of interesting things I found on Urban Dictionary.
Oh, no.
So armpit, if you look up armpit, there's like lots of basically the usual suspects, right? Like a stinky place or like the worst example of a location, like this is the armpit of creation, that kind of
shout out
stuff.
To our New Jersey listeners.
Right. Exactly. But pit, just pit. There are three that I thought were interesting just to touch on. How about the pit maneuver? Do you know what the pit maneuver is?
Never mind. No, I'm sure I don't. I was going to say I think I've heard of it, but then I remembered that this is Urban Dictionary. I have no idea. It's probably armpit fucking.
No, the pit maneuver is an actual thing. My dad was a Washington State patrolman, and it's the
it's where you drive into the back of their car, right? And you make them slide out. You drive into like their back wheel.
Yeah, exactly. You clip the back end of the car so that it forces it into a spin, which kills the engine, and it's something that they train on and have to do. So that's the pit maneuver.
I watched Bones. I know stuff.
And then something I'd totally forgotten, but is absolutely true, is that Pit was the name of the protagonist from
Kid Icarus.
From Kid Icarus, and it's super crazy. The story. Do you remember the origin story for Pit from Kid Icarus?
I mean, I played the game. He's created by the goddess Paleolithic to fight against Medusa.
Yeah,
but there was an eggplant wizard in the original game, right?
Yes. He was born a human, and then he died after drinking Clorox, and then became an angel, and then was trapped in the underworld.
That doesn't sound right. Clorox?
I think Queen Palestina.
Is that like is there some sort of plant called Clorox in ancient Greek or something?
This is also Urban Dictionary and should not be considered gospel truth.
Okay, I don't think that part's true.
But then they specifically say here, I'm not making this up, people. Let's give a warm round of applause to the Nintendo copywriters for their brilliant work. And I just, if somebody says it's for sure true, it's for sure true.
The internet doesn't lie. And nobody watches porn on it.
There were three endings to the game. Number one, Pit grows into a man. Number two, Pit and Paleolithic kiss. And number three, Pit grows large wings and leaves the underworld. But yeah, I'd totally forgotten that Pit was his name until, thanks Urban Dictionary for reminding me.
I was a sexy Pit for Halloween a couple years ago.
Oh, nice.
By which I mean just Pit. I mean, he's basically wearing just a short toga, so
like a diaper, right? And
no, he's got like a toga. He's got Cupid wings. He's got a sword. In the original game, he didn't, and sandals. And he's got I wore bluish bicycle shorts.
Oh, okay.
Under because he's got sort of shorts In Smash Brothers, at least. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's Urban Dictionary, and there's just the few things that I saw in there. I was gonna end with just a brief discussion of my weird armpit issues, and
tell us all about Dr. Chris is in the house. Tell me your deal.
All right. So it's going to start with a humble brag, so everybody deal with that. When I was 5 years old, my birthday's in November. So when I was 4 years old, and it was August, my parents were trying to get me into kindergarten, and the school district said, absolutely not. He is 4. He must be 5 to start kindergarten. So then the next year, I was 5, almost 6, and I started kindergarten, and they said, oh, this kid should have been here last year. And they bumped me up to first grade in like the first 6 weeks of school. And that's the reason, like I mentioned earlier in the show, I graduated when I was 17. I didn't turn 18 until, November of my freshman year. So I was behind. I was chronologically behind. There were many of my classmates that were a year plus older than me. And so, junior high rolls around and you start seeing each other's bodies in gym class and that kind of thing. And I was just younger and behind and had all kinds of hangups about that. Combine that with my mom's sister, my Auntie Gail, and I don't know if she listens, but I'm assuming that she doesn't. And if she does, I'm sorry, Auntie Gail, you're going to hear some things. When I was like 10, 11, 12.
If Aunt Gal, if you're listening, you just heard me talk about armpit fucking for like 20 minutes. Whatever Mike's about to say is fine.
She is my mom's sister, so I'm sure none of that will even faze her a little bit. But when I was like 10, 11, 12 years old, she used to like greet me with, "Do you have hair under your arms yet?" Like the first thing out of her mouth. And
that's weird.
She would even
Aunt Gail, that's weird.
She would even grab my t-shirt and pinch and pull, trying to grab onto the hair that frankly was not there. It took a while for me. And I was very gratified today to look up online that usually everybody is different and don't take this to the bank or anything, but like that usually pubic hair starts first and then armpit hair a little bit later, like sometimes up to a year later. And that was definitely the pattern for me. And I had all of this anxiety about like my body is doing different things than my classmates because they're a year older than me. And I don't have armpit hair. What's wrong with me? Feeling very like behind. And then like kind of being body shamed by one of my favorite people in the world every time I saw her. And there's some trauma to that. There's some downstream psychological trauma as a result of that whole thing. In fact, I remember going camping as a family, and a couple of the other kids in the family group that we were with got ticks, and we all had to be checked for ticks, and just being absolutely mortified. Did not want to raise my arms up so that mom and dad could see if I had ticks in my armpits because of this, like, I'm not getting hair fast enough. I'm wrong and broken and my body is fucked. That's kind of a lot, right?
That's kind of a lot. Here's one thing that we can all take away from this. You don't need religion to mess up a child. You can do it in all sorts of ways.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And like, it was like, I used to sometimes play basketball. That's the straightest thing about me this week. I should write that down.
Sometimes play basketball.
Yeah. Shirts and skins, I was absolutely mortified of that. And that was not about my body. That was about my lack of underarm hair. That like when you're playing skins and you're like, basketball has a lot of your hands over your head stuff that happens, especially if you're on defense, and like just mortified that I would be chosen to be skins because then I have to show everybody my pits. And, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I've got some armpit hangups to work through. I only just this summer, for like legit the first time, started wearing tank tops out occasionally. And a lot of that is wrapped up in exactly this stuff. And I'm a 42-year-old man. My armpits are doing what they're going to do. They're not going to change.
Interesting. All of my armpit hangups are around being a member of the Stinky Pity Committee. I just I'm an exceptionally sweaty person. Huh? That's my X-Men power.
You're a great replacement for Kyle then. He talks about that all the time.
So I will I've gotten very used to doing the sweaty pit handshake, which is where you press your arm all the way into your side and only shake with your elbow.
Yep.
Not move any of the rest of your arm so that none of that pit stain gets exposed.
Yeah,
I was basically Pit Stain from the TV show Pete and Pete.
Go to the bathroom and use one of the stalls and just hold your hands over your head to hopefully air out, dry up some of the.
No, I do. I take some toilet paper and I'll stick it up under there and yeah.
Absolutely. And I think this is something that we should talk about more. Why is it such a shameful, horrible thing that your human body is doing a human body thing because
it doesn't feel human when it's doing it. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, but it is, right?
I know.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're all just big bags of sweat and hormones and stuff, and sometimes our bodies do gross things that we're not doing it on purpose,
right?
So yeah, if you're pitting out, just don't own it to some capacity. Just
wherever you are, it's their fault. Have air conditioning, you assholes.
Yeah. Have stations in the bathroom where I can just give myself a little bit of a horse bath.
Yeah.
That's the polite thing to do.
So did we do it?
I think we did it.
We did it. We talked about armpits a whole bunch.
We sure did.
Should we take a break and reapply our deodorant then?
Yeah, I'm going to try a crystal.
Okay, great. Let's take a break.
Okay.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
Are we back?
We're back. Great.
We're back.
Hooray.
We made it.
We made it.
We're going to do our Gayest and Straightest?
We're going to do our Gayest and Straightest. But first, Chris Haigy, where can people find out more about you, your show, what you're up to, etc.?
Yeah, so we have a podcast called We Read Movies, where we talk about the very worst of gay cinema. You can find that at wereadmovies.com or wherever podcasts are bought, sold, or bartered. Bought, sold, or bartered. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Lighter Fandango. That's LIGHTER Fandango, like the dance or website. Yeah, that's the main thing that I do. I also do the Wednesday games on Have a Nice Gay. So, it's a fun little puzzle that we do every Wednesday. I come up with, fun games and puzzles for people.
Yeah, it's the closest I've ever been to producing a game show. It makes me very happy. And
it's the closest I've ever been.
Awesome. Well, our website is gayishpodcast.com.
You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Gayish Podcast.
Our hotline, you can leave us a text message or leave us voicemails. It's 5855-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rates apply.
And our email is gayishpodcast@gmail.com.
And our physical mailing address is P.O. Box 19882, Seattle, Washington, 98109. All right, all you motherfuckers, I got some shit for you to do. First of all, if you were one of the people that signed up at the Podcast Awards to vote for us, and you checked that you would like to be included as a potential voter for the final results, please check your email, check your spam. Those emails have gone out. So if you were selected, you should have gotten a notification. If you are one of those people, then fucking vote for us because we deserve it. Number two, on Have a Nice Gay, which we were just talking about, we're doing a new kind of fun thing where we've got a bunch of divas that we're putting head to head in a bracket, and it would be great if you all participated. Just go to haveanicegay.com/bracket and print out a sheet and say who you think is going to win each of the face-offs. And if you are the one that's right, you get some free merch, which is going to be great. And then last but not least, just in a couple of days from now at Hop Capital Brewing in Yakima, Washington on Sunday, August the 22nd, we are going to be doing our first live show in almost 2 years for Yakima Pride. It's going to be amazing. Come and enjoy the heat of the Palm Springs of Washington in Yakima. Just in a few days, like I said. Yeah. You ready to do our Gayest and Straightest?
I'm so ready to do our Gayest and Straightest.
All right. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
All right.
So my straightest is that my boyfriend and I bought a house, and so I've been doing a lot of house projects. So I replaced the lights, the lighting fixtures, and in order to do that, I bought myself a tool belt. So I've been standing on ladders, putting hammers into my tool belt, and really working on stuff.
Yeah. How often do you just wear the tool belt?
Well, so here's the Gayest. Wearing that tool belt does make me feel like I'm in a 90s gay porn. So I have been doing a lot of, every time I put it on, basically, I've been walking around being like, hey man, you gotta tighten that screw a little bit. Oh no, I dropped my screwdriver. Oops. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of that. Just really...
That's amazing.
Pouring it up.
I'm very happy for both of you.
What about you? What's your Gayest and Straightest?
So the straightest thing about me this week is talking to my ex-cop dad about the pit maneuver that we talked about and getting way more information about how that whole thing works from a physics perspective and just the training that they receive in doing it. It was illustrative, but also very straight and broy. And then the gayest
Are you going to try it?
I mean, I'll pit maneuver with the Jeep. Why not? I maybe should ask consent first, or maybe I need
do it on a,
Or I need to invest in a light bar. Can you imagine putting lights on your car and just pulling over random people?
I can, in my other 90s porn costume. Slutty Cop. Here I am. My name's Slutty Cop.
Excellent.
It's become problematic now, but it was a different time in the 90s.
Highly illegal. Don't do that, folks.
Even in the bedroom.
I agree. The gayest thing about me this week. So yesterday I was in Yakima doing a walkthrough of the brewery that we're having the live show at, and doing a tech plan for all of that. And the bartender who knows me was very heavily pushing the beer that has the fruit in it. And I was like, yeah, I'm gay. Okay, make me drink the pineapple guava IPA or whatever. You're gay, you're going to want the fruity one. Felt very right.
At least it's an IPA. It's a fruity IPA. That's basically, bisexual.
Yeah, exactly. Fruit. Yeah. Beer with fruit in it is the bisexual alcoholic beverage, I think. That's name a better one. Anybody?
Yeah.
So for our listeners, Gayest and Straightest this week, I put out the bat signal and asked people to call in and leave us a voicemail, and thank goodness they did. So, let's play it.
Otherwise, we'd just be sitting here in an awkward silence.
Hey guys, Jamie here from New Jersey. My straightest this week was walking around a car show in the scorching heat and getting probably way too excited about all the beautiful cars. My gayest was being constantly distracted by all the beautiful guys also walking around looking at cars. Thanks for all you guys do. Have a great week.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, I think, picking up gays at a car show is that seems maybe not a target-rich environment, but I'll take your word for it.
I've never been. But that doesn't mean anything. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen some, very compelling documentaries on the internet that tell me that a lot of mechanics and people who are just interested in cars are also very gay and will accept sex in lieu of payment for car repairs.
I don't have enough money for this. Is there anything else I can do?
There's a number of, hubs that you can find these documentaries on scattered all throughout the internet.
Yep. Well, that is it. A special thank you to Chris Haigy from We Read Movies. I really appreciate you being here and pinch hitting for us. It was great.
I really appreciated being here and pit hitting for you.
Yeah. Also, a special thank you to our super gap bridgers, Chris Cacciatorians, Cian and Javi, Christopher Farrell, Jerome York, Tipsy McStumbles, Jamie Pugh, Dusty Sands, Clinton Withers, Thomas B., Explosive Lasagna, Patrick Martin, Kevin Henderson, Forrest Nail, and Anonymous. This has been Gayish from the Chris Cacciatorian Studios. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Chris Haigy. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you.
See you next week. Hopefully in person.
Yeah.